First up is the second daughter, Futaba, a multi-talented girl who enthusiastically agrees with the family's plan. In stark contrast, the first daughter, Io, an actress, coldly dismisses anyone not of pure Amagasaki blood. The sixth daughter, Nana, a singer, stays completely silent, lost in her own world. Meanwhile, the fourth daughter, Shiki, a voice actress, cackles at the sheer secondhand embarrassment of it all. At the head of the table, a shadowy figure makes it clear she's not playing games anymore. This is the matriarch, Amana, a powerful CEO who declares men have no place in the Amagasaki family. The scene widens to show the entire family at the table, leaving one boy standing alone in shock. His eyes widen in terror, realizing that not a single one of his sisters will come to his defense. He desperately pleads with the stone-faced family, begging them to reconsider their harsh judgment. Breaking down, he reminds them of his devotion, crying out that they are the only family he has left. He makes one last, desperate appeal, unwilling to let go of their shared history. The matriarch remains silent, unmoved by his emotional display. His plea is met with a burst of cruel laughter from one of the sisters. The first daughter, Io, cuts through the noise, telling him his begging is utterly useless. With chilling intensity, she reveals the devastating truth. He was never one of them. He stammers in disbelief, but the matriarch simply sighs, bored by his denial. The boy's world shatters as he struggles to process her heartless words. Amana finally clarifies that his presence served only to fulfill one specific condition. The scene reveals the truth was buried in their grandmother's will all along. She scoffs at the idea of a family bond, confirming it was nothing more than a contractual obligation. The matriarch cruelly confirms their entire relationship was a cold, loveless transaction for money. He's bombarded with a flood of their past resentments, calling him a useless failure. With a triumphant smile, Amana announces that their long charade is finally over. The contract's end date is revealed to be this very day, his 18th birthday. A sinister glint appears in one sister's eye, reflecting a skull as she suggests a celebration. He is wished a happy birthday and a final farewell, cast into a nightmarish vision of death. A celebratory banner makes the true reason clear. They're celebrating finally getting rid of him. His mind flashes back to all the times he worked hard, naively believing he could earn their acceptance. That cherished memory of a happy family is now consumed by the horrifying truth. A single tear falls as he finally accepts the devastating reality that they were never his family at all. A lone candle flame signals that the time for his emotional display is officially over. With his face shrouded in shadow, he quietly accepts his devastating fate. He is ordered to surrender his phone and tools, ensuring their secrets remain safe. In a final act of devotion, he resolves to endure this last humiliation without a fight. He places his phone on the table, complying with their final command. The sisters watch him leave, their expressions ranging from tired impatience to gleeful relief. They hurl insults at him, telling him to get lost and never return. He forces a painful smile, thanking them for everything despite their cruelty. His existence is symbolically erased as a photo of him is tossed into a flame and burns to ash. Cast out with his luggage, he takes one last look at the mansion that was never his home. With a tearful smile, he bids a final farewell to his former self. He reflects on being cast out on his 18th birthday, now truly alone in the world. Little did he know, a chance encounter was about to change his entire destiny. His mind flashes to a fateful meeting that would alter the course of his life. This is the story of how a boy who lost everything found a new purpose in supporting others. A glimpse into the future reveals his rise from underdog to a key player in the world of showbiz. But for now, his reality is a tiny rented room, his dream of a normal life shattered. The overwhelming despair of his betrayal washes over him once again. His new life begins at rock bottom, with no family, no home, and no money to his name. He wanders the city streets, determined to survive against all odds. His journey leads him to the gates of Yumakoshi Gakuen High School. The next morning, he stands in the school chairman's office with his luggage, seeking confirmation of a difficult truth. With a strained smile, he declares his intention to drop out, shocking the girl at the desk. The girl, revealed to be the idol Ashia Asuka, angrily objects to him being forced out after all he's endured. He tries to lighten the mood, gently chiding her for being so formal while appreciating her anger on his behalf. A flashback reveals they've crossed paths before through his work in the entertainment industry. He recalls her true identity as the leader of Asterisk, the reigning supreme idol group. Asuka is shown in her element on stage, celebrated as the peerless and captivating #1 idol in Japan. Back in the present, Asuka's resolve hardens, unable to accept his fate even if he can. Overwhelmed by her unwavering support, he's moved to tears by the kindness of a top idol. He's stunned that someone so famous would care about an outcast like him. A new woman arrives, telling Asuka to settle down, but the idol passionately defends him. The woman calmly points out that the boy has already made up his mind, much to Asuka's frustration. The woman, revealed to be the school's chairman, Ashiya Sakuya, turns her attention to the boy. The chairman reveals he's not being forced to quit and probes for the real reason behind his decision. With a kind and inviting smile, she encourages him to confide in her. He clenches his fist, hesitating to reveal the true, painful reason for leaving. The chairman and the top idol both lean in, hanging on his every word. He awkwardly confesses that there's no particular reason, trying to downplay his situation. His vague answer infuriates Asuka, who grabs him, demanding he take this seriously. He explains that he feels too guilty to stay, leaving Asuka puzzled by his reasoning. He reflects on Yumakoshi Academy, a prestigious school dedicated to fostering future stars. Since he's quitting showbiz, he feels he no longer belongs among such dedicated students. With tears in his eyes, he confesses that staying would feel like a betrayal of their hard work. Asuka watches him with growing concern, realizing the depth of his pain. He sheepishly admits his attendance was so poor, it was as if he'd already dropped out. Asuka's expression shifts as she starts questioning just how many staff members supported his sisters. She becomes more insistent, pointing out the absurdity of managing 7 top-tier celebrities alone. The chairman chimes in, listing the massive team required for such a task and asking about the size of his support staff. With a dazed look, he makes the shocking confession that he was the entire team, all by himself. The idol explodes in disbelief, grabbing him and insisting it's impossible for one person to do so much work. She leans in closer, questioning his very presence at the school and demanding an explanation. The chairman playfully reveals Asuka had set up an alert with security, leaving the idol completely flustered. Mortified, Asuka stammers that he shouldn't feel obligated to her just because she's the chairman's daughter. Overcome with embarrassment, the top idol turns away, completely losing her composure under her mother's amused gaze. He can't help but smile, finding her flustered state unexpectedly charming. He quickly offers a laughing apology, but she snaps and grabs his hand to shut him up. A flustered Asuka pleads with him to stop calling her cute, her tough facade completely crumbling. The idol's embarrassment gives way to tearful frustration as she demands to know what he wants from her. He's the one who breaks down now, moved to tears as he declares she's just too cute. The chairman clears her throat, interrupting the emotional moment to ask one final question. She reminds him that his life is now his own, free from his past obligations. She formally asks what he plans to do now that he's leaving the world of showbiz behind. He hesitates for a moment, while both the chairman and Asuka watch him with gentle anticipation. He recalls his past, where he sacrificed his youth to work tirelessly behind the scenes for his sisters. All he ever wanted was a normal life, to study, make friends, and perhaps find romance. With a burst of passion, he declares his simple wish to finally experience an ordinary youth. A knowing smile spreads across the chairman's face as she reveals she has the perfect place in mind for him. Hours later, he arrives in a new town, leaving his old life behind to start completely fresh. He reflects on the chairman's incredible generosity in arranging not just a school transfer, but a place to live as well. He recalls the chairman's strange but caring words, unaware she has her own reasons for helping him. Overwhelmed by her kindness, he vows to work part-time to repay her for covering his rent and expenses. Leaving the chaos of yesterday behind, he walks towards the start of his brand new life. His heart soars with excitement at the thought of finally experiencing the normal school life he's always wanted. His hopeful journey is interrupted by the sound of a confrontation just ahead. He sees 2 menacing delinquents cornering a lone female student. The delinquents leer at the girl, their friendly invitation masking a sinister intent. His dream of a peaceful life is shattered as he realizes his new town might be more dangerous than he expected. He panics, imagining himself getting caught in a brawl and being utterly defenseless. His attention snaps back to the scene as he sees the cornered girl trembling in fear. He shoves his fear aside, realizing he can't just stand by while a girl is in trouble. A new girl appears, her eyes filled with a fierce determination to step in and help. Her mind is made up. She's going to save the girl in trouble, no matter what. She fearlessly steps in, grabbing the delinquent's hand and calmly telling him to back off. The tense confrontation takes place in a quiet street, right outside a neighborhood shop. The aggressors shift their focus to the new girl, threatening her with harm if she doesn't back down. Her heroic act is met with confusion, making her question her own judgment in the face of their indifference. Her expression is one of pure bewilderment, unable to comprehend their lack of concern. Looking at the victim's fearful expression, she confirms her initial assessment that this situation is not okay. With a sudden, confident smile, she promises to protect the other girl, which only serves to anger the delinquent more. Enraged by her defiance, the delinquent lunges forward, ready to make her regret interfering. The girl braces for impact, her face a mask of grim resolve as the aggressor bites his lip in fury. But before the punch can land, the boy appears out of nowhere, effortlessly dodging the attack. In a flash, he grabs the delinquent's arm and uses a swift, practiced motion to flip him. The delinquent's eyes widen in sheer shock as he is sent flying through the air. He lands hard on the ground, the fight knocked out of him by the unexpected takedown. Lying on the pavement, the dazed delinquent realizes he was just taken down by a formal martial arts throw. The boy casually stretches, revealing to the stunned girls that it was just a simple Aikido technique. He flashes a chillingly confident smile at the remaining aggressor, daring him to make a move. Utterly intimidated, the two delinquents make a hasty retreat, leaving the girls safe. He breathes a sigh of relief, the immediate danger now over. Despite his cool demeanor, he admits he was incredibly nervous, as it's been a while since he's had to fight. He recalls his past life, where he trained in multiple martial arts to shield his celebrity sisters from constant threats. But he sadly acknowledges that his role as their protector is now a thing of the past. The girl he saved gets his attention, and for the first time he gets a proper look at her face. She shyly thanks him for coming to her rescue, marking the official start of their fateful encounter. The girl is introduced as Himeji Tsukio, a mysterious beauty whose occupation is unknown. He's completely flustered, realizing he was so focused on the fight he failed to notice her breathtaking beauty. In his eyes, she's not just beautiful, she's an ethereal, angelic figure. He's completely captivated, his mind reeling from how unbelievably cute she is. She whispers her thanks, overcome with relief and on the verge of tears. Himeji tearfully insists he saved her life, though he thinks she's being a little dramatic. The other girl quietly observes that Himeji must have been truly terrified. He instinctively pats her head to comfort her, a gesture he once used on his sisters. The simple act of kindness sends her heart racing, leaving her blushing and completely speechless. This moment triggers a bittersweet memory of comforting his younger sisters in the same way. Realizing his mistake, he frantically apologizes for being overly familiar with a stranger. He cringes in embarrassment at his own actions, while the other girl remembers they haven't even introduced themselves. The girl nervously introduces herself as Himeji Tsukio, fidgeting under his gaze. He's completely smitten, internally gushing that even her name is adorable, much to her confusion. The other girl asks for his name, and he awkwardly explains that he was just kicked out of the Amagasaki family. He introduces himself as Sakasegawa Atsumu, but his heartfelt introduction is interrupted by a loud growl from his stomach. He sheepishly admits he's been surviving on nutrient jelly, which horrifies the other girl. Blushing deeply, Himeji shyly offers to help him in return for his bravery. She tearfully insists on repaying him for everything he's done for her. He's completely flustered by her passionate plea, unsure how to react. The story recaps his tragic fate, banished by his 7 famous sisters on his 18th birthday. Despite being left penniless, the kind school chairman arranged for his transfer to a new life. Instead of going to his dorm, he finds himself enjoying a lavish meal, his eyes tearing up from the simple joy of it. He nervously asks Himeji if he truly deserves such a grand feast after everything. Himeji shyly explains that this meal at a family restaurant is her way of thanking him. She admits she was completely frozen with fear during the confrontation, while the other girl listens with understanding. A quick flashback reminds us that this all started when he saved Himeji from a pair of aggressive delinquents. The other girl tries to downplay her own heroic act, insisting she just did what anyone would, which seems to confuse Himeji. As the other girl eats, she notices Himeji's intensely flustered reaction and wonders if she missed something. The girl reflects on Himeji's stunning appearance, noting her height, figure, and an extraordinary aura that makes her stand out. She continues to observe Himeji from across the table, lost in thought about her mysterious new acquaintance. Her observations are confirmed as other patrons start whispering, captivated by Himeji's beauty and speculating about her profession. Seeing the attention Himeji is drawing, the girl understands why everyone in the restaurant is so intrigued by her. She concludes that Himeji is, without a doubt, a truly incredible and captivating beauty. The other girl's observation is cut short by the arrival of their food. A waitress presents Himeji with a massive, limited-edition strawberry parfait, surprising the other girl. Himeji's eyes sparkle with delight as she eagerly snaps a photo of the adorable dessert. The other girl can't help but smile, finding Himeji's girlish excitement incredibly endearing. Her attention is suddenly drawn to the hushed whispers coming from a nearby table. The other patrons are captivated, finding the contrast between Himeji's mature looks and cute dessert choice charming. Himeji blushes with embarrassment, asking if it's weird for her to like such things. The other girl tries to reassure her, but Himeji's mood suddenly plummets, her bright expression fading. With a deep blush, Himeji confesses she's embarrassed to like cute things because of her mature appearance. Atsumu suddenly speaks up, telling her he thinks it's a great quality, catching the other girl by surprise. He reassures Himeji that she has absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. He declares that a beautiful girl who also loves cute things is the ultimate unbeatable combination. His heartfelt words leave Himeji completely stunned, blushing as he insists she's wonderful just the way she is. The other girl watches with a warm smile, her approval mirrored by the cheerful dessert. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Himeji quietly thanks him for his kind and validating words. Inspired by his sincerity, the other girl tearfully confesses her own deep love for cute things. She then turns the tables, complimenting him on his own cute voice, much to his surprise. Blushing, she explains that his voice is strikingly similar to a popular VTuber she admires. Her unexpected comparison leaves him speechless, while she lets out a nervous giggle. He internally frets over his social skills as she awkwardly excuses herself to get a drink. Atsumu tries to make a joke about being arrested at a family restaurant, leaving Himeji looking puzzled. Himeji is surprised to learn he wasn't joking, as Atsumu insists his fear was completely genuine. Her expression shifts to one of deep concern as she asks if it's true that he no longer has a family. Atsumu flinches, suddenly realizing the weight of the personal detail he just casually revealed. He immediately panics, apologizing for oversharing while Himeji tries to calm him down. Himeji's concern deepens, admitting she's been worried ever since he mentioned the nutrient jelly. Overwhelmed by her sincere kindness, Atsumu is left blushing and completely speechless. He quietly confirms that what she suspects about his family situation is indeed true. After a moment of silence, he offers to tell her the whole long story, if she's willing to listen. And so he decides to confide in Himeji, recounting the painful story of his former family. He lays out the entire heart-wrenching story of his betrayal at the hands of his so-called family. His tragic tale moves Himeji to tears, and she admits she regrets making him relive the pain. Atsumu watches her cry, feeling terrible that his sad story has caused her such distress. He scolds himself internally, convinced that making a girl cry is an unforgivable act. Himeji tries to compose herself, but her tear-filled eyes reveal the depth of her empathy. Atsumu attempts to downplay his tragedy with a pained smile, saying he was useless after all. His self-deprecating remark shocks Himeji, who immediately tells him he's wrong. She clutches her napkin, her resolve hardening as she rejects his negative self-image. With fierce conviction, Himeji refuses to let him believe he's useless. Blushing, she reminds him of his own heroism, declaring that he was the one who saved her. Atsumu is taken aback by the sudden intensity in Himeji's expression. She recalls the confrontation, remembering his brave and decisive intervention. Nervously fiddling with her hair, she struggles to put her overwhelming gratitude into words. With tears welling in her eyes, she declares that in that moment, he was her hero. The other girl is completely flustered, suddenly realizing the depth of the situation. She's moved to tears, grateful that she was able to witness this honest exchange. Later, outside the restaurant, Himeji shyly thanks him as they prepare to part ways. With a radiant, blushing smile, she waves goodbye, hoping they will meet again. He agrees with a gentle smile of his own as the narration confirms they soon parted ways. The scene pulls back, showing the sprawling city where his new life has just begun. He walks on, reflecting on the day's chaos and wondering what his new school life will hold. His thoughts drift back to Himeji, pondering if her cute voice meant she also worked in the entertainment industry. Meanwhile, Himeji herself is lost in thought, a faint blush gracing her cheeks. He resolves to ask her about it if their paths ever cross again. The scene shifts to a streaming setup as the narrator reveals this was the day she met him. Her ordinary youth was spent in front of a screen, typing away as her computer whirs to life. She posts an announcement for her upcoming stream, a routine she believed went unnoticed by the world. The truth is revealed. She is the massively popular VTuber, Kaguya Hoshizuki. With over 1 million subscribers, she greets her adoring fans as the game-streaming princess. As she prepares to start her game, she reflects on the wonderful thing that happened to her that day. She enthusiastically announces to her audience that it's time for the main event. She playfully teases her viewers, promising to share the secret of her wonderful day eventually. It's revealed that Himeji is actually Japan's top VTuber, and she eagerly starts her game stream. Meanwhile, Atsumu sits alone, his thoughts still lingering on the family that banished him. His mind flashes back to their cruel celebration as he wonders how they felt after kicking him out. He knows it's pointless to dwell on it, but the painful memories continue to haunt him. He desperately questions if any of them felt even a shred of sadness over his departure. The scene cuts to the Amagasaki mansion, where life continues on without him. Inside, one of the sisters cruelly recounts the look on his face, finding his despair hilarious. Another sister chimes in, their casual conversation a stark contrast to his ongoing pain. The fifth daughter, an idol named Mutsuki, cruelly recalls his final desperate expression. Futaba, the second daughter, laughs wildly, finding his suffering more entertaining than any television show. Shiki, the fourth daughter, laments not having recorded his breakdown for her own amusement. The sisters erupt in shared laughter, delighting in the fact that his pain was completely real. They praise Shiki's cruel genius, imagining how his humiliation could have gone viral online. A calmer voice cuts through the glee, declaring that his absence is ultimately for the best. The other sisters pause, momentarily confused by the sudden shift in tone. The third daughter, a model named Mika, explains with a smug smile that the very air feels cleaner without him. Her sisters cackle at the vicious remark, joking that his presence was a form of pollution. Mika begins to list her personal grievances, starting with his strict enforcement of her diet. Shiki excitedly agrees, flapping her arms as she prepares to voice her own complaint. She recalls his ridiculous ban on spicy food, gleefully adding the spiciest noodles she can find to her online cart. Mutsuki fumes at the memory while Futaba taps her phone, a sinister grin spreading across her face. The idol reveals her biggest frustration was his strict approval process for all her selfies. To prove her point, she defiantly posts a wild photo, asserting her own judgment of her looks. Her sisters voice their shared annoyance, completely understanding her frustration with his control. Futaba reveals she was banned from social media entirely, a rule she now gleefully breaks. The attention turns to the remaining quiet sisters, demanding they share their own grievances. The first daughter, Io, coldly recounts how he forced her to reject prestigious acting roles. Another sister playfully goads the silent Nana, eager to hear her contribution to the pile-on. Her sisters rally behind Io, furious that he cost her a potential Hollywood career. Nana, the singer, finally speaks, revealing her only loyalty is to a mysterious music producer named Five. The sisters recall the producer's recent hit song, wondering about the genius who perfectly captured Nana's voice. Lost in her own world, Nana declares that singing 5 songs is the only reason she needs to live. The final sister, a pouting VTuber named Yachiru, is prompted to share her own grievances. Yachiru clutches her teddy bear, angrily declaring she never wants to see him again, surprising even her sisters with her venom. The matriarch, Amana, smirks with satisfaction, having successfully united her daughters in their hatred. She announces that the obstacle to their success is gone, and their talents have been held back for too long. With a triumphant smile, Amana gives her daughters permission to finally unleash their full potential on the world. The next day, the story shifts to a towering corporate building in the heart of Tokyo. The president's secretary, Kami Yuki, bursts into the office, demanding to know why she wasn't consulted about firing Atsumu. Amana coldly dismisses her concern, stating there was no need to discuss such a trivial matter. The frantic secretary argues that she can't possibly manage the 7 sisters alone, as Atsumu handled almost everything. With a smug smile, the matriarch calmly reveals she has already arranged for a replacement. As if on cue, the office door opens, revealing a young girl standing in the doorway. The newcomer introduces herself as Harima Rima, an intern from Yumekoshi Academy's support department. Yuki stares in disbelief, questioning why a mere intern has been brought in to fill such a critical role. Amana places a hand on the young intern's shoulder, a gesture of unsettling confidence. The secretary's shock deepens as she realizes the replacement is just a student. Panicked, she protests that even an elite student is no substitute for Atsumu's years of experience. Amana smugly presents the nervous intern as Atsumu's official replacement. The secretary frantically points out that a student can't possibly handle the immense workload. Amana cruelly dismisses her concerns, claiming that if a failure could do the job, an elite student will have no trouble. The matriarch's question hangs in the air, filling the secretary with a sense of impending doom. Yuki recalls Atsumu's reassuring smile, remembering how he always promised to handle everything himself. In the present, she's filled with dread, convinced the entire operation is destined to collapse without him. Her thoughts turn to Atsumu, the only person she believes can fix this mess. She realizes with dawning horror just how much they truly needed him. The scene shifts to Atsumu's new school, where he's greeted by the sight of Himeji standing in the classroom doorway. A classmate approaches him, surprised that he's unaware of the rumors surrounding the mysterious Himeji. The classmate agrees that Himeji is cute, and Atsumu shyly admits he'd love to talk to her just once. He explains that despite her stunning looks, she's completely unapproachable and ignores everyone who tries. Her beauty and aloofness have earned her the intimidating title of the Ice Queen among the students. The classmate warns Atsumu that trying to get close to her is a hopeless pipe dream. The next morning, Atsumu jolts awake, surprised to see it's only a few minutes past 4 a.m. He yawns, realizing his body is still stuck on the grueling schedule from his previous life. He begins his morning run, reintroducing himself as Sakasagawa Atsumu, the high schooler kicked out on his birthday. Despite his resolve, he can't help but feel exhausted from the incredibly early start. He now resides in the dorms of his new school, a kindness arranged by the former chairman. As he jogs through the empty streets, he reflects on his past with the showbiz dynasty he was forced to leave. He recalls his former life managing his 7 famous sisters and their powerful mother. A flashback shows his exhausted past self, who barely slept while supporting them. Now in his new dorm, he's up early cooking, his body still used to the grueling schedule. He proudly tastes his own perfectly cooked meal, a simple pleasure he can now enjoy. Eating alone, he reflects on his new life and wishes he still had his phone to watch streams. His heart skips a beat as he remembers Himeji from the day before. Still eating at the early hour of 6:40 a.m., he ponders why her voice felt so familiar. He savors the slow pace of his new morning, hoping his school life will finally be fun. Later in class, the teacher announces the arrival of a new transfer student. He turns to the class with a beaming smile, introducing himself as Sakasagawa Atsumu. The class erupts in whispers, speculating about the cute new transfer student with the high-pitched voice. Unused to being the center of attention, Atsumu blushes, his heart pounding with nervousness. However, one intimidating delinquent in the class scoffs, clearly unimpressed by the newcomer. The narration reveals his transfer to this ordinary high school is a secret to protect him from his past. Filled with hope for his new school life, he's directed to a seat in the back of the classroom. As he walks to his desk, a student's gaze is drawn to his distinctive running shoes. He stops in his tracks, realizing his assigned seat is next to the menacing delinquent. A closer look confirms his suspicion, recognizing something familiar about the tough student. As he passes by, the delinquent flinches, seemingly recognizing him as well. The delinquent suddenly grabs his arm, turning to demand his attention. The delinquent, identified as Kongu Riki, slams his desk and warns the new transfer student not to get cocky. Kongu cracks his knuckles, accusing Atsumu of mocking him as Atsumu tries to apologize, completely baffled. The teacher feebly attempts to de-escalate the situation, but Kongu's intimidating glare silences him. Completely out of his depth, the teacher nervously pleads with Kongu to return to his seat. Atsumu suddenly has a moment of clarity, a cheerful idea popping into his head. He confidently asks the delinquent if his anger is related to his pants. Kongu looks down in shock to find his previously torn pants have been mysteriously repaired with cute animal patches. Atsumu proudly reveals his hidden talent for sewing, brandishing a full kit with a confident wink. He explains that he stealthily patched the pants as he walked by, a skill honed by years of practice. The delinquent is left utterly speechless, while Atsumu anxiously wonders if the cute patches weren't to his taste. He explains the logic behind the cute patches, having chosen a tiger, a bee, and a bear to suit the delinquent's tough image. As Kongu stares blankly, Atsumu begins to wonder if his creative choices were a mistake. From the delinquent's perspective, he sees Atsumu's sparkling eyes as he innocently asks if an elephant patch would have been preferable. Kongu's heart pounds in his chest as he struggles to process this bizarre and disarming interaction. A diagram clarifies that Atsumu's pure intentions are being perceived as a deliberate act of mockery. The delinquent, completely rattled, accuses the new student of intentionally making fun of him. With a clueless smile, Atsumu explains he simply saw the torn pants and thought he was doing a good deed. Kongu finally erupts, informing the clueless boy that the rips were a deliberate, distressed fashion choice. Despite his outburst, a deep blush spreads across the tough guy's face, revealing his utter embarrassment. The rest of the class quietly laughs, realizing the school's toughest delinquent has just been completely flustered. The humiliated delinquent storms off, vowing that Atsumu will regret this day. Atsumu watches the fuming tough guy return to his seat, relieved that the immediate crisis is over. Wiping sweat from his brow, he breathes a sigh of relief, glad to have survived his first classroom encounter. With the confrontation behind him, he finally turns his attention to finding his assigned seat. His eyes light up as he spots his desk, but it's the person sitting next to it that truly shocks him. He can't hide his happy surprise, realizing he's been seated next to Himeji, the girl he just met. Himeji blushes deeply, shyly asking him to take care of her now that they're classmates. He beams with a bright, friendly smile, while Himeji can barely meet his gaze, completely flustered. Atsumu happily agrees, promising to be a good classmate as he settles in next to her. While the delinquent seethes in the background, Atsumu's joy and Himeji's pounding heart mark the start of their new school life. He tries to play it cool by twirling his pen, but his nerves cause it to slip from his grasp. The pen clatters to the floor, and he freezes in horror at his clumsy mistake. His classmates erupt in whispers, completely shocked to hear the voice of the silent girl for the first time. Himeji looks on with concern, wondering if she somehow did something wrong by speaking to him. The other students are completely stunned, as witnessing the quiet girl speak is an unprecedented event. A classmate shouts in disbelief, revealing that the legendary Ice Queen just broke her silence for the new kid. The student's shock is palpable as she struggles to comprehend the impossible situation unfolding before her. Atsumu finally connects the dots, realizing the beautiful blushing girl beside him is the school's unapproachable Ice Queen. The scene cuts to the VTuber Kaguya Hoshizuki, who is frantically playing a game, a stark contrast to her quiet school persona. Atsumu sighs wistfully, recalling how he used to enjoy watching the energetic VTuber Kaguya back when he still lived with his sisters. He recalls how watching the VTuber Kaguya Hoshizuki was his only escape from his sister's constant torment. As Himeji prepares to end her stream, her virtual avatar gives a final, flustered thank you to her fans. But as his work intensified, he lost even that small comfort, no longer having time to watch her streams. The story flashes back, summarizing his tragic expulsion from the Amagasaki family on his 18th birthday. Now, filled with renewed hope, he arrives at his new high school, excited for a fresh start. His new life began with a fateful encounter with the incredibly beautiful and shy Himeji Tsukio. By some miracle, they were reunited on his very first day, now sitting side by side in class. He's overjoyed to be seated next to Himeji, but a new problem quickly makes itself known. The entire class is staring intently at him, making it impossible for him to concentrate on the lesson. He can't understand why everyone is so shocked, or what they mean by calling the gentle Himeji the Ice Queen. He worries that his arrival is causing trouble for Himeji, questioning his decision to transfer. His thoughts drift as he tries to make sense of the confusing situation. He recalls her kindness and empathy, struggling to reconcile it with her cold reputation. His gaze falls upon the collection of cute keychains adorning her school bag. One particular keychain, a fluffy rabbit, sparks a sudden jolt of recognition. He turns to the shy Himeji, preparing to ask her about the familiar charm. But he freezes, realizing the entire class is watching their every move with disbelief. Ignoring the stares, he quietly asks if the keychain is what he thinks it is. He quickly changes his mind, deciding this conversation needs more privacy as the bell rings. On the school rooftop, he gratefully thanks Himeji for leading him to a place where they can finally talk alone. Himeji shyly explains the rooftop is her sanctuary for when she needs to be alone. He's relieved they have a private place to talk, and she opens her adorable homemade lunch. The two decide to spend their lunch break together on the quiet school rooftop. Now that they're alone, Atsumu finally asks her about her intimidating Ice Queen nickname. A deep blush spreads across her face as she admits the story is actually quite embarrassing. She begins to explain that her reputation stems from her crippling shyness around others. Her inability to find the right words often makes her seem cold and dismissive to her classmates. This led to wild rumors that she was a noble lady who looked down on commoners, cementing her Ice Queen title. Atsumu puts the pieces together, realizing her cold reputation is just a huge misunderstanding. Himeji tearfully confesses that she's too embarrassed to tell anyone the simple truth about her shyness. He sees her genuine gloom and realizes how much her Ice Queen reputation truly bothers her. To lift her spirits, he proposes they make this rooftop lunch a daily routine, which delights the surprised Himeji. He appoints himself her conversation coach, and she nervously accepts his offer to help her practice. Atsumu racks his brain, trying to come up with the perfect method to help her break out of her shell. He munches on his food, knowing that simply sharing a meal won't be enough to solve her problem. He casually mentions the keychain again, noting the strange contrast between her real-life shyness and her talkative online persona. Realizing he's said too much, he quickly tries to take it back, but Himeji's shocked gasp tells him he's hit a nerve. A hopeful glint appears in his eyes as he wonders if his impossible theory might actually be true. Himeji's panicked expression confirms his suspicion, her eyes swirling with the shock of being discovered. The final piece of the puzzle clicks into place as he connects the shy Himeji with the famous VTuber, Kaguya Hoshizuki. With tears in her eyes, Himeji trembles as she quietly confirms his unbelievable theory. She sulks in embarrassment, picking at her food now that her secret identity is exposed. Atsumu admits he was only half certain, while the dejected Himeji realizes she's been completely figured out. She asks how he pieced it all together, wondering if she gave herself away during their first meeting. He lists the clues: their similar voices, a shared love for cute things, and how she let her guard down around him. But he reveals the real giveaway was the special item he spotted on her school bag. Atsumu excitedly points out the handmade rabbit keychain, the signature mascot from Kaguya's streams.
He cheerfully explains he noticed the charm in the classroom, which completely surprises the flustered Himeji.
He notes the keychain isn't official merchandise, meaning she must have made it herself, just like the VTuber claimed. Himeji is confused by his excitement, but Atsumu is simply overjoyed to have met his idol. Atsumu proudly reveals the keychain is an original character he designed named V, leaving Himeji stunned. She realizes he's a longtime fan she knows as V-san, but he casually corrects her that it's pronounced 5. Himeji clutches her lunch, admitting she never imagined such a connection, but is secretly happy it's with him. A warm, relieved smile spreads across her face, grateful for this unexpected bond. Her gentle expression catches him completely off guard, making his heart pound. Atsumu quickly regains his composure, steering the conversation back to helping her overcome her shyness. He gets down to business, confirming her goal is to speak confidently in front of others. He questions why she can talk so freely on stream, a stark contrast to her real-life persona. Himeji shyly confesses that when she streams, she feels like she's not really herself. She admits she's insecure about her tall, mature appearance, though he sees those same features as beautiful and cool. Atsumu understands her feelings but believes there's more to her than just her insecurities. He realizes that for Himeji, her VTuber persona Kaguya represents her ideal, perfect self. With newfound determination, he tells the confused Himeji that he knows exactly how to help her. He playfully winks, announcing his grand plan is to help her become as cute as her ideal self. Himeji is left completely speechless by his unexpected and enthusiastic proposal. The story recaps his banishment and his fateful reunion with the beautiful Himeji on his first day. During their rooftop lunch, he learned of her struggles and came up with his bold solution. He enthusiastically repeats his promise to make her cute, much to Himeji's continued shock. After school, he marvels at a massive facility conveniently located right next to their campus. Inside a sprawling shopping mall, he thanks Himeji for guiding him as she explains the variety of stores available. Atsumu is overjoyed, revealing this is his first time ever hanging out with a friend after school. Himeji blushes at the word friend, clearly flustered by the new label for their relationship. He confidently leads the way into the mall, while Himeji quietly follows him. The scene pans over the massive shopping complex, highlighting its modern design. Their first stop is a cosmetics shop, a choice that leaves Himeji looking completely bewildered. He reveals his plan, explaining that his experience doing his sister's makeup makes him the perfect person to help her. With a confident wink, he declares that cuteness can be created and he's the man for the job. The camera focuses on the endless aisles of makeup, the tools for her transformation. After making their selections, a friendly shop clerk named Yamaguchi Haruko rings up their purchase. The clerk reflects on her own past, revealing she once dreamed of being a professional makeup artist herself. The clerk admits she's lost her passion, simply recommending popular items without any real fulfillment. Her routine is broken by the arrival of Atsumu and a very nervous-looking Himeji. Atsumu tries to comfort the overwhelmed Himeji, while the clerk mistakenly pegs them as a cute high school couple. The clerk finds their dynamic heartwarming, envying Himeji's natural beauty and admiring Atsumu's charm. Atsumu confidently asks the clerk if they can borrow some samples to try out a new look. The helpful clerk directs them to the self-makeup corner, happy to accommodate the young pair. As the clerk muses about his politeness, Atsumu lays out the tools, preparing to work his magic. Himeji's heart pounds as she nervously agrees to let him begin her transformation. The clerk's jaw drops, completely stunned by the unexpected turn of events. Her mind reels as she realizes the boy isn't just accompanying his girlfriend, he's the makeup artist. The clerk watches with doubt, assuming he's just another clueless boyfriend trying to be trendy. She silently prays he doesn't ruin the girl's stunning features with his supposed lack of skill, but her doubts vanish as he expertly prepares his tools with the precision of a master. With a brush in his mouth, he begins the transformation, his movements swift and impossibly confident. The clerk's jaw drops, completely stunned by the incredible dexterity on display. He works with intense focus, each step of the process handled with practiced ease. She's mesmerized by his touch, which is both incredibly skilled and surprisingly delicate. As Himeji feels the gentle application, the clerk realizes he's working on a professional level. He flawlessly selects the perfect colors and tools, tailoring everything to Himeji's unique complexion. The clerk is moved, realizing this isn't just a makeover, it's an act of pure, heartfelt artistry. The clerk sees his work not as a simple makeover, but as a piece of art filled with gentle love. She wonders what kind of life experience could grant someone such incredible, professional-level skill. With a final delicate brushstroke, he completes Himeji's stunning transformation. After a few focused moments, he proudly announces that the look is finally complete. Himeji opens her eyes to a breathtaking new version of herself, her features enhanced with a soft, cute style. Staring at her reflection, she struggles to believe the beautiful girl in front of her is actually herself. He shyly asks for her opinion, admitting he incorporated some popular trends into the look. Overjoyed, Himeji praises his incredible talent, feeling like she's become a whole new person. From the counter, the stunned clerk realizes the true transformative power of makeup. Filled with newfound hope, Himeji joyfully exclaims that he can truly help her become her ideal self. The clerk is left blushing and inspired, her own passion for makeup reignited by his artistry. As the clerk approaches, Himeji quietly considers his words about becoming the person she wants to be. His impressive display quickly attracts a crowd of other girls, all desperate to learn his makeup techniques. The clerk watches with a knowing smile as the girls surround him, asking where he learned his skills. A pouting Himeji suddenly grabs his hand, determined to pull him away from the growing crowd. She pulls the flustered Atsumu away, loudly announcing that the crowd is interrupting their date. Her use of the word date sends Atsumu into a blushing shock as they flee the stunned crowd. Safely away by a fountain, he tells her she surprised him, while she explains she couldn't just leave him to fend for himself. With a determined blush, she clenches her fists, insisting the crowd was ruining their precious time together. The romantic implication of her words dawns on them both, leaving them blushing furiously with pounding hearts. He points out she's speaking with surprising ease, and she realizes it feels just like when she's streaming. With a radiant, blushing smile, she gives him all the credit for her breakthrough. Her sincere gratitude sends his heart racing, leaving him completely flustered. Their successful day continued with a full tour of the mall, trying on clothes and enjoying snacks. After buying the makeup, they eagerly plan their next stop, a strawberry cake shop. But their perfect date is cut short by the sudden appearance of some familiar, unfriendly faces. Atsumu's expression shifts to one of shock as he recognizes the approaching figures. He realizes it's the delinquent Kongu, flanked by the two thugs he took down just the day before. Meanwhile, the story cuts back to the Amagasaki mansion, where a car waits at the entrance. The new intern, Rima, impatiently urges someone to stop dawdling and get into the vehicle. Yuichiro glares at Rima, blaming her for their lateness and the impending doom. 2 days prior, at the Amagasaki agency, a significant event unfolded. Atsumu, the former manager, was fired, leaving a void in the agency's operations. Yuki, the president's secretary, worries about the president's decision and the future. Despite the increased workload and rescheduling chaos, no major issues have arisen yet. Yuki hopes the new intern is performing well, concerned about the president's choice. The scene shifts to a downtown TV station, hinting at the sisters' activities. Rima is embarrassed by a mishap, likely caused by one of the sisters. Mutsuki, the fifth daughter and idol, confronts Rima angrily. Mutsuki worries her carefully crafted image is being ruined by Rima's incompetence. The new manager, Rima, nervously insists she tried waking the idol up, shifting the blame for their lateness. She's revealed to be a second-year student from Yumakoshi Academy, a school specializing in the entertainment industry. Mutsuki dismisses her excuse, confused by Rima's claim of being the new manager for the Amagasaki agency. The idol gets menacingly close, twisting Rima's words to prove the intern failed at her one job. A flashback shows Rima's desperate attempts to wake the sleeping idol, pounding on her door in a panic. Back at the TV station, a timid staff member interrupts their tense conversation. The staffer informs Mutsuki that her break time is ending and she's needed for the show. Mutsuki lets out a disdainful scoff, her cruel expression making the new manager flinch. But in a flash, she turns on her idol persona, giving a sparkling wink and a cheerful thank you. As the idol struts away, the overwhelmed Rima slumps against the wall, utterly defeated. The new manager, Rima, despairs over the unfair treatment she's already facing on the job. A profile reveals her new client is Mutsuki, the fifth Amagasaki sister and a massively popular idol known for her bold persona. Rima is completely intimidated, realizing the idol's public image hides a very difficult personality. As their car speeds through the city at night, the pressure continues to mount on the young intern. She tries to steel her resolve, reminding herself that managing a top celebrity is a huge opportunity she can't mess up. Her thoughts are interrupted as Mutsuki impatiently orders the newbie to stop daydreaming and do her makeup. The idol condescendingly reminds Rima that this is exactly what she was hired to do. Rima panics, questioning the demand, and pointing out that professional makeup artists usually handle this task. Mutsuki glares with contempt, insisting that any competent manager should be skilled in makeup application. The flustered intern admits she's never heard of such a requirement, much to the idol's cruel amusement. Rima internally panics, believing the idol's demand is an impossible task for any manager. A flashback reveals Atsumu's gentle expertise, a stark contrast to the intern's inexperience. Mutsuki scoffs in disgust, rattling her makeup kit as she prepares to force the issue. She thrusts the makeup into Rima's face, her intimidating glare demanding immediate compliance. As they speed towards the studio, the idol explains they'll be recording the moment they arrive. Mutsuki leans in close, venomously accusing the intern of trying to sabotage her career. Later that night, the story returns to the opulent Amagasaki residence. Mutsuki storms into her room, throwing a tantrum over the new manager's incompetence. She seethes with rage, furious at the humiliation she suffered at the hands of the intern. The idol stomps furiously, recalling how the botched makeup job made her a laughingstock on set. She takes out her frustration on a stuffed animal, furious that a new problem has arisen just after she got rid of Atsumu. A sinister smile spreads across her face as she decides on a way to vent her anger. She cracks open a can, ready to indulge in a forbidden treat now that no one is watching. The idol aggressively chugs the drink, finally letting loose without anyone to stop her. Surrounded by snacks, she relaxes on the couch, basking in the bliss of her newfound freedom. She smugly imagines Atsumu's miserable fate, savoring the fact that no one can restrict her actions now. Her mood improved. She snaps a few carefree photos with her sister and posts them online. With a wicked grin, she scoffs at her followers, confident that manipulating them for viral fame is child's play. She revels in her power, mocking her fans as she watches her post gain traction. Later that night, she sleeps soundly while her phone buzzes endlessly with notifications from her successful post. Her carefree selfie pings with a new notification, drawing attention to her post. But one comment under the photo hints that something is terribly wrong. The next morning, the idol's post has become a trending topic, causing a stir in offices everywhere. The secretary, Yuki, is jolted by a furious phone call demanding answers about the viral photo. The caller berates her for being unaware of the disaster one of her talents has caused. A major client furiously cancels their commercial contract, fearing damage to their own brand. Urged by the caller, she frantically checks the internet to see the source of the commotion. Her eyes widen in horror as she finally understands the gravity of the situation. While the idol sleeps soundly, The family is about to learn a harsh lesson about their success. The narrative reveals that their entire empire was built on the efforts of the very person they cast out. Their date is interrupted as Himeji gasps, seeing trouble approaching outside the mall. Kongu aggressively questions Atsumu, demanding to know why he's hanging out with Himeji. The delinquent and his crew surround the pair, their expressions promising a fight. Himeji nervously wonders why Kongu is so angry, as the tough guy's temper visibly flares. Atsumu tries to de-escalate, explaining they're just enjoying a normal day out. He completely misreads the situation, cheerfully asking if the delinquent wants to join them. The two thugs point accusingly, identifying Atsumu as the one who attacked them at the store. Kongo cracks his knuckles, his glare intensifying as he accuses the transfer student of messing with his crew. He furiously adds that he also hasn't forgotten the humiliating pants-patching incident. Atsumu tries to explain the truth, insisting the thugs were the real troublemakers and he was just intervening. Kongu snaps a toothpick in frustration as Atsumu cheerfully offers to fix his pants again. Atsumu finally understands the delinquent's rage stems from the cute animal patches he sewed on. Enraged, Kongu throws a powerful punch, but Atsumu dodges with surprising speed. The thugs cheer on their leader while Himeji watches in panic, desperate to avoid a public brawl. Atsumu frantically tries to de-escalate, but the delinquent's intimidating glare silences him. The tough guy mutters angrily, questioning what Atsumu could possibly know about his humiliation. As a crowd gathers, Atsumu pleads for calm, but Kongu angrily rejects his attempt to talk. The delinquent reveals he's a karate black belt, promising his next attack won't miss. Realizing he can't hold back against the larger opponent, Atsumu prepares for a serious fight. Kongu dramatically drops his bag and brandishes a large cross-shaped weapon, ready for battle. With a look of resolve, Atsumu apologizes internally, knowing he has no other choice. He unleashes a stunningly fast strike, catching the delinquent completely off guard. Atsumu expertly deflects the retaliating blow, his movements fluid and precise. Using his opponent's momentum, he pushes back with surprising force, overwhelming the larger boy. In a single, powerful motion, he slams the tough guy to the ground. Kongo lets out a pained cry, the toothpick snapping in his mouth from the impact. The once feared delinquent lies defeated in the plaza, the crowd stunned into silence. Kongu's thugs can only stare in shock, unable to believe their leader was so easily beaten. Himeji watches with a blush, completely captivated by his unexpected display of strength. Snapping back to reality, Atsumu realizes the trouble they're in and nervously suggests a hasty retreat. With a sigh of relief, Himeji quickly grabs his sleeve, glad the confrontation is finally over. She pulls the bewildered Atsumu away from the scene, leaving Kongu's crew to cry out for their fallen leader. Later, the two groups sit at a tense table, with a dejected Kongu sulking between his two friends. Atsumu calmly suggests they settle things with a conversation instead of another fight. Himeji gently asks Kongu to explain his earlier outburst, but he just glares sullenly. The delinquent's friends point out that Atsumu is strong and gets to date the prettiest girl in school. Kongo finally breaks, lamenting how he was humiliated in class and embarrassed himself in front of Himeji. Overcome with emotion, the tough guy struggles to hold back tears of frustration. He finally erupts, admitting he's just incredibly jealous of guys like Atsumu who are popular with girls. The delinquent breaks down completely, confessing he feels pathetic for losing so easily when all he wanted was to vent his feelings. Atsumu is completely baffled by the tough guy's sudden confession of jealousy. He thoughtfully considers the delinquent's tearful outburst, trying to understand his feelings. Atsumu realizes his friendship with Himeji was a misunderstanding that made him look popular. The dejected Kongu continues to sulk, still stewing in his own frustration. Looking at the group, Atsumu insists that from his point of view they actually seem pretty cool. Kongu bitterly explains that their intimidating looks have always prevented them from getting along with girls. The three friends share a moment of silent agreement, each burdened by their own social struggles. Atsumu questions if their appearance is truly the reason for their romantic troubles. Kongu laments that his large frame and imposing face scare away any girl he tries to approach. His friend adds that his own long hair and pale skin give him a frightening appearance. The third friend chimes in, explaining his single eyelids make him look like he's constantly glaring. He confesses they all decided to act like delinquents, thinking it was the only way to become popular. Himeji gently scolds them, pointing out that their aggressive tactics are completely wrong, and they sheepishly apologize. The three dejected boys admit their plan isn't working, and Atsumu sympathetically agrees he understands their struggle. While the boys sulk, Himeji quietly sips her drink, a thoughtful expression on her face. Atsumu muses to himself that, in his opinion, the three of them don't actually look that bad. A blushing Himeji seems to have an idea, realizing their appearance isn't the real problem. She taps Atsumu's cup to get his attention, her mind flashing back to his incredible makeup skills. With newfound confidence, Himeji asks Atsumu if he would be willing to do makeup for the three boys. Atsumu agrees with a beaming smile, leaving Himeji flustered by his immediate and enthusiastic acceptance. The three delinquents look on with skepticism, reluctantly agreeing to the unexpected makeover. With a confident wink, Atsumu prepares his tools, ready to work his transformative magic. He proudly presents the results, anxiously waiting for the boys to see their new looks. Their stunned voices echo in disbelief as they struggle to process what they're seeing. He explains how he used makeup to give the first boy a mysterious, elongated look, addressing his insecurities. For the second, he used foundation and clever styling to create a softer, more approachable appearance. He gave Kongu a pair of glasses, transforming his intimidating features into a gentle and reliable expression. The three friends stare at their reflections, completely shocked by the handsome strangers looking back at them. Overjoyed with their new looks, the boys celebrate their newfound confidence, no longer needing to hide behind a tough facade. Atsumu offers one final piece of advice, explaining that true confidence comes from learning to love yourself. The three former delinquents are now his devoted followers, calling him sensei with stars in their eyes. Himeji shyly thanks Atsumu for his help, while the newly reformed trio watches in awe. He casually dismisses her thanks, saying this was nothing compared to his old job, leaving Himeji blushing with relief. Himeji looks at him with admiration, realizing how much effort he put into helping the three boys. Atsumu turns to Himeji, asking if she's no longer worried about Kongu and his friends. She smiles warmly, explaining that she now understands how they felt and is no longer afraid. Atsumu suddenly notices the time, apologizing that their date was sidetracked by the unexpected makeover session. Himeji's eyes light up as she insists it's okay, because now they have a reason to see each other every day. He leans in close, whispering that they can see each other daily, making Himeji blush furiously. With a shy but hopeful expression, Himeji admits she'd love it if they could go out together again. He realizes this is the first time he's ever felt truly accepted, a stark contrast to his life with his sisters. A sense of calm washes over him, a feeling he's not used to. Himeji blushes, genuinely happy that she was able to help him. After their successful makeover, the new friends commemorate the day with a group photo before heading home. He reflects on the chaotic but fun day, realizing this is what a normal, youthful experience feels like. Looking at the photo, Himeji hopes they can create many more happy memories together. The story recaps his expulsion and his new life, made possible by the generous chairman of Yumakoshi Academy. He's finally living the dream of a normal high school life, having befriended the school's most beautiful girl. The next day, as the final bell rings, Himeji turns back with a shy glance. But before Atsumu can say anything, a newly confident Kongu nervously asks Himeji out on a date. Himeji glares with icy resolve, flatly refusing Kongu's bold request. Her cold rejection freezes the entire classroom, leaving Kongu metaphorically encased in ice. The students whisper among themselves, believing her harsh response confirms the rumors of the unapproachable Ice Queen. As the classroom buzzes with chatter, Himeji nervously grips her bag, unable to explain her true intentions. Blushing furiously, she clarifies that she already has after-school plans with someone else. With that, she dashes out of the classroom, determined to continue her makeup lessons with Atsumu. She's frustrated with herself, realizing yesterday's practice wasn't enough to overcome her crippling shyness. The narration explains how the initial rumor of her talking to Atsumu grew into a school-wide story that she had finally broken her silence. As a result, a flood of hopeful students tried to approach her, only to be met with the same misunderstood rejection. On the rooftop, Atsumu looks out over the city, having figured out the perfect solution to her problem. He gently applies her makeup, coaching her through the process as her heart thumps nervously. On the private school rooftop, they continue their daily makeup lessons, away from prying eyes. Atsumu beams with pride, amazed at how quickly Himeji is mastering the art of makeup. Himeji holds a brush with newfound confidence, her skills growing with each passing day. They discovered that the makeup gives her the confidence to speak, a breakthrough she credits entirely to his teaching. He begins teaching her to do it herself, though he offers to be her personal makeup artist anytime she needs. Atsumu cheerfully tells her she can always rely on him, because that's what friends are for. The word always sends Himeji's mind spiraling into a flustered fantasy of marriage. And so his new, fun school life began, but one crucial problem still remained. Despite her progress, Himeji still freezes up mid-conversation, proving her shyness isn't completely cured yet. The narration reveals his most pressing issue is a lack of money. He reflects that while the chairman covered his first month's rent, he'll soon have to pay for everything himself. Walking home, he realizes the cash he had on him is about to run out completely. He desperately wonders how he'll find a job that can provide immediate income. Just then, a luxury car screeches to a halt outside the gates of Heron High School. A familiar, glamorous figure steps out, flanked by bodyguards confirming this is his new school. With a determined glint in her eye, she and her entourage stride onto campus to find him. Meanwhile, Atsumu and Himeji happily agree to walk home together, unaware of the approaching trouble. As they leave, Atsumu notices a large, noisy crowd gathered just outside the school. He and Himeji look closer, and his expression shifts as he starts to recognize the center of attention. The famous idol is mobbed by a frantic crowd of fans begging for autographs and photos. Overwhelmed by the sudden attention, the idol breaks into a nervous sweat. Her eyes lock onto a familiar figure in the distance, and she knows she's found her target. Himeji stares in disbelief as the celebrity pushes through the crowd, heading straight for them. The girl is revealed to be Ashiya Asuka, the lead singer of the top idol group, Asterisk. Asuka ignores everyone else, telling a stunned Atsumu that she's been looking for him. The student body erupts in whispers, shocked that the new kid knows both the Ice Queen and a famous idol. Himeji is left muttering in confusion, completely baffled by this unexpected development. Unused to the spotlight, Atsumu nervously sweats while Himeji looks on with concern. The students are left reeling, wondering if Atsumu is secretly a major player in the entertainment industry. Himeji puts a finger to her lips, admitting she's not familiar with the idol world. Atsumu asks if she knows Asuka, but the idol just gives Himeji a cold, dismissive stare. A classmate excitedly explains that Asuka is the incredibly famous center of the top idol group, Asterisk. Himeji's face falls as she learns about the idol's fame, and Atsumu notices her sudden gloom. He cheerfully clarifies that they were classmates at his old school and she was his only friend. Asuka suddenly grabs his hand, insisting they need to talk privately and pulling him away from the crowd. She leans in close, her expression serious as she tells him she needs him by her side. Himeji's heart flutters with a mix of shock and jealousy as she witnesses their intimate moment. Without another word, Asuka begins to dash off, dragging a confused Atsumu along with her. The remaining students can only stare in disbelief as the famous idol runs off with the new kid. Himeji stands frozen in the crowd, her plans for strawberry cake replaced by a rumbling sense of betrayal. His words about Asuka being his only friend echo in her mind, twisting into a sharp pang of jealousy. With a frustrated pout, she silently fumes, feeling foolish for getting her hopes up. As the crowd chatters on, Asuka's luxury car waits by the school gates, the engine ready. Thrown into the back seat, a bewildered Atsumu demands to know what the famous idol wants with him. Asuka ignores his questions, giving a sharp order to her driver to speed away immediately. As the car peels out, Atsumu panics, realizing he's just been unceremoniously abducted by a celebrity. The idol turns to him with a blush, insisting he drop the formalities and call her by her first name. Her sudden request for closeness leaves him flustered, a blush creeping onto his own cheeks. He tries to get answers, but she cuts him off, declaring that his past as a behind-the-scenes, nobody doesn't matter to her. She explains with a blush that her drastic actions are ultimately for his own benefit. His heart pounds as he reels from her shocking proposal to become her official support staff. Asuka gives him a flat look, questioning why he's so surprised by her incredible offer. The idol reminds him of his legendary past managing the 7 Amagasaki sisters, calling his skills too valuable to waste. He clenches his fist, humbly admitting to his past role but downplaying his own abilities. With a passionate blush, she insists she believes in his talent and needs him by her side. Atsumu is torn between his desire for a normal life and his flattered reaction to her praise. Seeing his hesitation, Asuka makes a desperate move, offering to pay him in cash on the spot. She leans in close, grabbing his hoodie and anxiously asking if her generous offer isn't good enough. He realizes her proposal is the perfect solution to his financial crisis, and his resolve begins to waver. With tears in her eyes, Asuka desperately pleads for him to accept her offer. Overwhelmed by her plea and his own financial desperation, he agrees to become her official support. His mind flashes to a flustered Himeji, who would surely see this as a betrayal of their budding friendship. The narration recaps that Asuka, the famous idol and his old acquaintance, has now taken him under her wing. Atsumu is left completely clueless, wondering what his new support role will actually involve. Asuka's expression turns serious as she pointedly asks about the beautiful girl he was with at school. He innocently explains that Himeji is just a friend, not realizing the implications of his words. The idol's glare intensifies, her jealousy flaring up as she repeats his dismissive phrase. Atsumu feels a pang of guilt, remembering he left Himeji behind just as they were about to hang out. Asuka leans in with a possessive pout, demanding his full attention now that he works for her. With a determined blush, the idol warns him to prepare himself, as she'll make sure he can only think of her. Completely flustered by her intensity, Atsumu can only manage a nervous agreement. As they drive, he marvels at the city billboards, realizing the massive celebrity is treating him with surprising familiarity. He acknowledges her status as the undisputed #1 idol, the center of the famous group Asterisk. Their car pulls up to a large studio, where Asuka announces they'll be filming a promotional video. Inside, she boldly declares that Atsumu will be handling the makeup for every single member of the group. Atsumu blinks in confusion, the full weight of her statement not yet sinking in. The reality of the situation finally hits him, and he panics at the thought of working on the entire group. He protests that this wasn't their deal, but she reminds him she saw his work on his sister Mutsuki during a joint performance. Asuka looks down on him with a cold glare, calling him useless for his hesitation. Asuka strides confidently into the studio, while Atsumu follows with a look of deep uncertainty. They walk down a sterile hallway lined with vending machines, heading deeper into the studio complex. The filming director, Oizumi Takashi, greets Asuka with enthusiastic praise for her new song. He predicts the song will be a massive hit, and Asuka humbly bows in gratitude for his kind words. With fiery determination, she declares she poured her soul into the lyrics and will give the performance her all. Atsumu watches in surprise as they both bow respectfully, agreeing to do their best for the shoot. He's left in awe of her professional demeanor, realizing she truly is a top-tier idol. The weight of the director's words sinks in as Atsumu begins to grasp the situation's importance. As Asuka leads him to their dressing room, he connects the dots, realizing she wrote the new song's lyrics herself. Standing before the Asterisk dressing room, she turns to him, emphasizing just how crucial this shoot is for her. Atsumu panics, terrified he'll ruin her entire project if his skills aren't good enough. He frantically tries to back out, insisting someone else would be better for the job. Asuka cuts him off, telling him his self-doubt is completely missing the point. She declares that as a pro, she chose him specifically for the legendary skills he used on his sister. With renewed confidence, she grabs the doorknob, certain the other members will welcome him. She bursts into the dressing room, proudly announcing she's brought their new makeup artist. But they've walked in on the entire idol group in the middle of changing their outfits. Both Atsumu and Asuka are hit with a wave of blushing shock at the revealing scene. Asuka slams the door shut, pushing a completely frozen Atsumu out of the room. After a tense moment, he admits he saw everything, earning a sharp glare from the flustered idol. The flustered idol furiously rejects his apology, slamming the door and insisting it's not okay. A few minutes later, they cautiously re-enter the dressing room to face the fully clothed idol group. Both of them bow in unison, offering a frantic and deeply embarrassed apology for their mistake. An Asterisk member named Suzuka calmly points out that their leader, Asuka, should have known to knock first. Asuka bows even lower, taking full responsibility for her careless mistake and apologizing to her group. Another member, Kuan, gently tells Asuka to raise her head, while Asuka nervously admits she's flustered. A third idol chides the forgiving Kuan, telling her she's being far too lenient. The other members, Shino and Kuromi, debate the issue, with one dismissing the incident while the other glares disapprovingly. A bold member named Midori chimes in, shamelessly admitting she'd rather he looked more. The final member, Kozue, reacts with flustered shock, insisting that Midori's exhibitionist attitude is also not okay. Asuka takes responsibility, admitting the awkward situation is her fault since makeup requires trust. Atsumu ponders how to salvage the situation, realizing he's made a terrible first impression. Suzuka diffuses the tension, suggesting they call it even and let the newcomer introduce himself. Asuka nervously makes the official introduction, presenting Atsumu as their new makeup artist. The other members react with a mix of shock and disbelief at the unexpected reveal. Panic erupts as they realize their new makeup artist is a high schooler they just met under awkward circumstances. But Kwan glares coldly, declaring she is firmly against having him as their makeup artist. She explains that while she forgave Asuka for the intrusion, this new development changes everything. Kwan emphasizes the importance of their new song, for which Asuka poured her heart into the lyrics. Therefore, she declares it's unacceptable to entrust their faces to an inexperienced high schooler who just saw them changing. Asuka's expression hardens, insisting Kwan's concern is the very reason for her choice. She turns to the group, apologizing to everyone, including Atsumu, for the chaotic introduction. With a determined look, she prepares to make a bold statement to convince her skeptical teammates. Asuka proudly declares that Atsumu isn't just a student, but the absolute best artist she personally selected for the job. She passionately vouches for his skills, promising the stunned group they won't regret trusting him. Kwan feels a mix of admiration and shame, while other members start to voice their support. The other idols agree to go along with it, placing their trust in their leader's judgment. Atsumu clenches his fist, questioning his own hesitation when everyone is now believing in him. A cheerful member breaks the tension, suggesting they move past the awkwardness and do proper introductions. With a bright smile and a clap, she enthusiastically proposes they all start over on a positive note. Atsumu swallows hard, the weight of their expectations settling on his shoulders. Asuka taps his shoulder, offering a reassuring touch in front of her skeptical teammates. She reminds him that she chose him for a reason, her faith in his abilities unwavering. Her confident declaration that he's the one she wants leaves him completely moved. He reflects that her belief in him is something he's never experienced before. Steeling his resolve, he realizes there's only one way to repay her trust. With newfound confidence, he formally introduces himself and vows to support Asterisk with all his might. The narration confirms he's been entrusted with the makeup for the top idol group's new music video. Determined not to let Asuka down, he prepares to give it his all. The filming flies by in a blur, and before he knows it, the shoot is already over. The director and idols are all thrilled with the final result, a testament to his incredible skill. On the brilliantly lit stage, the entire crew celebrates the successful wrap-up of the music video shoot. Standing apart from the celebration, Atsumu quietly reflects on his own small contribution to the massive project. While the director beams with satisfaction, Atsumu feels a familiar sense of being an outsider. He clutches the video script, a reminder of the one-day-at-a-time philosophy that got him through the ordeal. Asuka proudly praises his work in front of the entire group, calling him by his last name. Overwhelmed by the sudden praise from the famous idols, Atsumu completely panics. Asuka looks at him with genuine gratitude, while he stammers, unable to explain his flustered reaction. A cheerful member clarifies that they simply wanted to express their sincere thanks for his hard work. Atsumu is left blushing and confused, completely unaccustomed to receiving such direct appreciation. An idol confirms his makeup was the key to getting such great shots for the video. Even the once skeptical Kwan offers a blushing, heartfelt thank you for his amazing work. Suzuka also thanks him, her expression showing a mix of gratitude and deep admiration. Another member chimes in, explaining his flawless makeup gave them all the confidence they needed. Atsumu deflects the praise, humbly insisting the team's hard work made the video a success. But Suzuka points out his meticulous preparation, recalling how he studied the lights and camera angles first. She declares that his incredible attention to detail proves he's a true professional. Suzuka passionately grabs his arm, insisting he stop being so modest about his talent. The other members tease Suzuka for her enthusiasm, while Asuka proudly notes that's why she chose him. The director suddenly joins in, throwing an arm around the startled Atsumu and praising his perfect work. The director presses the idols, asking if they noticed the other incredible things he did on set. To everyone's surprise, the camera and lighting crew chime in, thanking Atsumu for teaching them so much. The director excitedly reveals that Atsumu was secretly helping the entire production team throughout the shoot. The lighting, camera, and even choreography staff confess that he provided them with invaluable assistance. The idols are floored, realizing his support went far beyond makeup, leaving them to wonder about his true identity. Asuka smirks, smugly confirming that she knew about his secret, wide-ranging contributions all along. She then drops a bombshell, revealing he was the legendary former manager of the Amagasaki sisters. The entire set erupts in confusion, demanding Asuka explain this shocking new information. A flustered Atsumu finds himself at the center of attention, trying to explain his complicated past. The crew struggles to comprehend his skills, a manager who could also handle lighting, production, and flawless makeup. The director offers him a job, telling him he can count on him if he ever needs work. A powerful woman suddenly appears, agreeing that hiring him is an excellent idea. Asuka smiles, clearly happy to see the newcomer, while the crew looks on in confusion. The woman is revealed to be Mikage Hoshikage, the president of Asuka's entertainment agency, Starliner. The president explains that Asuka told her about him, and she watched the music video on her way over. Atsumu realizes with a jolt that this powerful figure is the head of Asuka's agency. President Hoshikage looks at him with an appraising gaze, acknowledging his impressive skills. She thanks him personally, explaining that his work brought out a new side of Asuka she'd never seen before. With a confident expression, she extends her hand, preparing to make him a formal offer. In front of the entire crew, she points directly at Atsumu and officially asks him to work for her agency. The production crew enthusiastically agrees, welcoming him to the team with open arms. The director beams, convinced that with Atsumu's help, they can achieve incredible things. Asuka reaches out, passionately declaring she can reach even greater heights with him by her side. Atsumu is stunned, trying to process the idea of working alongside the famous idol. He envisions her on a massive stage, a dazzling star at the absolute peak of her career. But his mind flashes back to Himeji, whom he unceremoniously left behind at the school gates. He remembers her hopeful, blushing smile as she asked if they could hang out again. With a heavy heart and newfound resolve, he turns his back on the tempting offer. Asuka's confident expression crumbles, her voice trailing off in utter disbelief. He looks down, quietly apologizing and officially turning down the job of a lifetime. The president and director stare in disbelief, unable to process his sudden rejection. He explains that his skills aren't sufficient and he has other priorities he wants to pursue. His mind flashes to Himeji as he admits his true desire is to live a normal high school life. With a deep bow, he formally apologizes to the stunned production crew for turning them down. The president accepts his decision with a sad smile, while the director looks on understandingly. A furious Asuka calls him an idiot as the president dismisses everyone, ending the discussion. With a determined blush, the idol silently vows that she will never give up on him. The director cheerfully breaks the tension, telling his crew it's time to get back to work. The production team warmly offers to let him visit the studio and use their equipment anytime. The Asterisk members all invite him back, their words echoing as Himeji waits for his return. He thinks of Himeji, a pang of regret in his heart for turning down such a huge opportunity. He apologizes to the disappointed crew, hoping they can still work together in the future. Meanwhile, Himeji waits for him, clutching a script and beaming with gratitude for his help. The script, titled One Day at a Time, has become a symbol of her own growing confidence. In her car, a smug Asuka scoffs, already plotting her next move to win him over. She reflects on her surprise, admitting she was completely sure he would accept her offer. As the car speeds away, she vows that next time she'll clear up any misunderstandings he has. A determined blush spreads across her face as she plans a special gift for him. She's confident that her present will be the key to winning his heart. The narration recaps the day's wild events, from his abduction by an idol to his work with Asterisk. The music video shoot was a massive success, even earning the full approval of the agency's president. But despite the tempting offer, he chose to return to his normal school life, one day at a time. Later that night, outside his dorm, he celebrates a major personal victory with a look of pure joy. He finally has his very own brand new smartphone, a modern necessity he's been without. It was a surprise gift from Asuka, which means he can finally watch his favorite streamer again. A flashback reveals her smug satisfaction, knowing her gift solved his money problems with no strings attached. He blushes, discovering the phone's wallpaper is a cute, winking picture of Asuka herself. Sitting in his room, he's grateful to finally have a phone again after leaving his old life behind. He glances at the time, suddenly realizing the live stream he's been waiting for is about to start. Atsumu sighs with embarrassment, realizing Asuka locked the phone so he can't change her picture from the wallpaper. The streamer Kaguya greets her audience, ready to continue her popular Meowcraft series. Atsumu lies on his bed, eagerly watching the live stream with a huge smile on his face. He's suddenly struck by a shocking realization. His favorite streamer, Kaguya, is actually Himeji. He reflects that it's been far too long since he was last able to watch her stream. Suddenly, the streamer lets out a frustrated cry, accusing a thief cat of ruining her game. The in-game cat, named Golden Twintails, has stolen her super rare grapes, much to her dismay. The streamer pouts with an adorably frustrated expression, completely annoyed by the in-game theft. Atsumu is puzzled, noting that he's never seen Kaguya get this genuinely angry before. He tries to brush it off, telling himself he must just be tired from the long day. But as he thinks about it, he realizes the golden twin-tails cat reminds him of someone very familiar. His mind flashes to Asuka, realizing the golden twin-tails cat in the game was a Jabiter. He feels a pang of guilt, resolving to properly apologize to Himeji the next day for leaving her behind. The next morning at school, he prepares to make amends for his sudden departure. He nervously tries to apologize, but a blushing Himeji tells him not to worry about it. But then she admits she was, in fact, quite angry about him breaking their promise. To make it up to her, Atsumu offers to buy her some donuts as an apology. Himeji shyly counters, asking for a new makeup kit instead of sweets. Her eyes sparkle with delight at the thought, her excitement revealing a different kind of sweet tooth. Her intense reaction gives Atsumu a sudden brilliant idea. He excitedly tells Himeji he finally got that thing he's been wanting, leaving her completely puzzled. He excitedly reveals his brand new smartphone, a major upgrade to his new life. Himeji celebrates his good news, while he feels a sense of connection despite living alone. He casually suggests they exchange numbers, leaving a stunned Himeji at a loss for words. The simple request sends her mind racing as she realizes what this means for their relationship. Overcome with emotion, she turns away by the lockers, leaving a confused Atsumu to wonder what's wrong. With a determined blush, she realizes she'll be the very first contact in his new phone. Later in class, her classmates notice her unusually cheerful mood, sparking whispers among them. A new rumor about her starts to spread, leaving a completely oblivious Himeji to wonder what's happening. The classroom buzzes with gossip, the students unable to contain their excitement over the latest news. Atsumu cringes in embarrassment, assuming the commotion is because he was seen with the famous idol yesterday. The teacher's voice cuts through the classroom chatter, announcing the arrival of a new transfer student. As the door slides open, Atsumu realizes he's not the only recent transfer anymore. He and Himeji stare in wide-eyed disbelief at the familiar face standing in the doorway. The new student is none other than the famous idol Ashia Asuka, who greets the class with a dazzling smile. The entire male population of the class is rendered speechless by the celebrity's sudden appearance. While the boys lose their minds, Himeji's excitement quickly turns to a look of deep concern. The classroom erupts into chaos as everyone recognizes the center of the top idol group, Asterisk. Asuka basks in the attention, cheerfully confirming that the rumors are in fact true. After struggling to regain control, the teacher directs the new celebrity student to an open seat. To Atsumu's shock, the teacher points to the empty desk right next to him. Himeji stares in disbelief, her excitement completely shattered by the idol's arrival. Atsumu sits awkwardly between the two girls, realizing this dream scenario feels more like a nightmare. Asuka winks playfully at Atsumu, smugly asking if he's surprised to see her. He demands to know why she transferred, and she cheerfully admits she just wanted to be with him. With a determined blush, she vows not to let him get away this time, leaving him no choice but to agree. The idol then turns her attention to Himeji, a new rival in her quest for Atsumu's affection. Himeji glares back with an icy formality, her jealousy barely concealed behind a polite greeting. But Asuka counters with a dazzling smile, cheerfully introducing herself to her newfound rival. Flustered, Himeji quickly tries to reclaim Atsumu's attention, suggesting they exchange numbers at lunch. Asuka watches with a smug smirk, clearly enjoying the chaos as Atsumu is caught in the middle. Asuka smugly points out that he's holding the very phone she gifted him yesterday. The idol reveals her contact info is already saved, making Himeji's request completely pointless. The two rivals lock eyes, their intense glares sparking with unspoken hostility. Himeji is completely flustered by the idol's bold move, unable to compete with her confidence. Sparks fly as a silent war erupts between the two girls, with Atsumu caught in the crossfire. Asuka leans in to taunt her rival with a familiar nickname, but Himeji glares back, refusing to back down. Atsumu breaks into a cold sweat, realizing this tense confrontation is just like the one from Kaguya's livestream. The rivalry mirrors the game perfectly, with the thief cat and the streamer now facing off in real life. He looks out at the school, his dream of a peaceful high school life now completely shattered. Meanwhile, a storm rages over the Amagasaki mansion, where a terrible incident is unfolding. In the rain-swept mansion, the idol sister is left to question her own disastrous choices. Her room is a complete disaster, a reflection of her own spiraling career. Her phone buzzes with endless hate mail as she laments that all she wanted was to be the best. The Amagasaki talent agency has already brought in a new intern to replace the brother they cast out. They smugly believed their careers would finally take off without his restrictive presence. But back in the present, an urgent phone call rings demanding Mutsuki's attention. However, without his support, the cracks in their carefully constructed empire are already starting to appear. The fifth daughter, the idol Mutsuki, snarls into the phone, annoyed by the interruption. Still lounging in her messy room, she impatiently demands to know what the caller wants. On the other end, the new intern, Harima Rima, panics, warning her that things are spiraling out of control. Mutsuki scoffs at the intern's warning, dismissively calling her a rookie. The idol angrily complains that the call interrupted her comfortable sleep. Rima frantically insists it's an emergency, but Mutsuki remains completely unconcerned. The intern's next words finally break through her apathy. She's trending on the internet. Instead of worrying, a smug and self-satisfied smile spreads across Mutsuki's face. She revels in the news, believing her plan to go viral has finally succeeded. Mutsuki triumphantly assumes her selfie is the cause, confirming she never needed her brother's help. Her mind fills with delusions of grandeur, imagining her swift rise to the top of the idol world. But her celebration is cut short when she sees the real trending news is about her rival, Asuka. The article praises Asterisk's new music video, leaving a stunned Mutsuki to question what's happening. Mutsuki seethes with rage, dismissing her rivals as nothing more than calculated performers. She tries to brush off their success, insisting that her own viral fame is all that matters. With a crazed look, she vows to surpass their news and prove she is the superior idol. But the real headline reveals a career-ending scandal. She's been caught with alcohol while underage. Her triumphant smirk shatters into an expression of pure, unadulterated shock. The idol's eyes widen in horror as she realizes this single mistake could destroy everything. She panics, remembering she thought she had carefully hidden the can from the camera's view. In a fit of rage, she brandishes a stick, her messy room reflecting her spiraling mental state. Mutsuki clutches her head in despair, admitting she was careless and didn't pay attention. The source of her downfall is revealed: a single can of beer carelessly left in the shot. The headline confirms her worst fears, and she realizes her entire career is about to go up in flames. But in a moment of panic, she realizes there might still be a way to salvage the situation. With a manic grin, she decides the solution is simple: just delete the incriminating photo. She confidently moves to erase the evidence, certain this will make the problem disappear. But just as her finger hovers over the delete button, another incoming call interrupts her plan. Mutsuki answers with pure annoyance, wondering what could possibly be so important now. It's the rookie intern again, and Mutsuki brushes her hair back, feeling like she's already handled everything. The intern desperately tries to explain how to properly handle the scandal that's now all over the news. Rima panics, knowing that deleting the post without a proper explanation will only fuel the fire. But Mutsuki smugly informs her it's too late, having already deleted the post without a second thought. The intern's words hit her like a truck. Deleting the post was the same as admitting guilt. As the storm rages outside the Amagasaki mansion, an even bigger one brews within. Her phone begins to buzz uncontrollably, a sign that her problems are just beginning. Hundreds of notifications flood her screen, each one a nail in her career's coffin. Mutsuki's smug confidence shatters, replaced by the dawning horror of her mistake. The endless stream of alerts becomes a deafening roar, pushing her to the breaking point. She's bombarded by a tidal wave of online hate, her carefully crafted image crumbling in an instant. Mutsuki erupts in a furious tantrum, screaming that her fans are supposed to forgive her for anything. Trapped in her room, the idol can't escape the relentless digital assault on her reputation. Overwhelmed and defeated, she hurls her phone across the room, trying to silence the world. Her phone continues to buzz relentlessly, a constant reminder of the public's fury. Mutsuki breaks down in tears, pleading for the storm of online hate to finally end. She curls into a ball on the floor, completely defeated by the scandal she created. The next morning, the city is calm, but the consequences of the previous night are just beginning. Inside the Amagasaki talent agency, the president's office is already dealing with the fallout. The agency's president stares at the news report, demanding to know how this disaster happened. Her secretary, Kamiyuki, reports that a depressed Mutsuki has locked herself away in her room. The agency's president, Amagasaki Amana, fumes that she gave them freedom, never expecting such a catastrophe. The secretary confirms that Mutsuki is ignoring all calls and messages, completely shutting out the world. President Amana cuts straight to the point, demanding to know the full extent of the financial damage. The secretary breaks down the catastrophic financial damage, which now exceeds a staggering 100 million yen. She grimly concludes that to recoup the losses, the other Amagasaki sisters will be forced to work even harder. The president fumes, not over her daughter's crisis, but over all the luxury goods she could have bought with the lost money. The secretary stares with cold realization, seeing that her boss values profit far more than her own family. As the president seethes with greed, the secretary's utter contempt for her becomes crystal clear. Her thoughts then shift to the new intern, wondering how she's handling the agency's sudden implosion. Meanwhile, the eldest sister, Io, calmly discusses the scandal, unsurprised that her foolish sister messed up again. The rookie intern, Rima, listens with a deeply worried expression, unable to share the actress's cold detachment. The first daughter, an actress named Io, declares that Mutsuki has no one to blame for this disaster but herself. Rima voices her concern, but Io dismisses it, callously writing off her sister's only qualities as reckless energy. The eldest sister, Io, coldly asks the new intern for the materials for her next acting role. She glances at the script with disdain, complaining that the preparation is far less detailed than she's used to. The intern nervously hands over the script, wondering if the actress has completely given up on her troubled sister. Rima stammers in confusion, asking if the script she provided isn't enough to work with. Io confirms that's all there is, while Rima struggles to understand what more complete materials would even look like. Rima recalls that their former manager provided exhaustive notes on line delivery, expressions, and deep character psychology. She's left stunned, realizing the level of support Atsumu gave them was completely unheard of in the industry. But Io scoffs at the idea, questioning why she can't just study the script and adjust her performance on set. Her cold glare reveals a deep-seated arrogance, completely devaluing her brother's meticulous preparation. Turning away, she callously asks if the intern expects her to bother with such unnecessary details. She arrogantly claims an actor's job is simple, requiring them only to recite lines from a script. The actress dismisses the intern's concerns, noting that it's almost time for her shoot to begin. As she prepares for her role, the narration warns that dark clouds are gathering, foreshadowing disaster on the set.